Hello, I'm Thea Vaz of the Hartford Votes Coalition. The Coalition is a group of organizations dedicated to increasing voter engagement in Hartford. We're nonpartisan. For more information about the Coalition may be found at hartfordvotes.org. Today, we are delighted to bring you this brief video about town committees. Town committees play a very important role in the democratic process. A major function of town committees is to nominate and elect candidates for office. To help us understand more about the purpose of town committees and how they work, we are pleased to have two special guests. Ken Lerman is the chairman of the Hartford Republican Town Committee, and Marc DiBella is the chairman of the Hartford Democratic Town Committee. Marc and Ken, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Thea.
Thank you, Thea.
Thank you. I have several questions for you. What is the role of your respective town committees?
I guess I'll lead off. So again, Thea, thanks so much for having us today. Ken, great to see you.
Vice versa, Mark.
Yeah, I would say really two basic roles. One you touched on to start. I mean, from a logistical point of view, I mean, obviously we have bylaws and such, and we are responsible for endorsing candidates for a wide variety of offices. So we have that responsibility that we take very seriously. Those offices include everything from local municipal offices to state reps, senators, and potentially, in addition to that, statewide offices as well. Although that those delegates are selected under the rules of our state party, so that is a little different. But for a wide variety, we also serve as really the grassroots, let's just say the lowest form of really community engagement between the voters, the residents of the city, and our elected officials. So we also serve in that capacity as well.
I would add to that as well. I view one of the key important aspects is the jumping off point of trying to attract candidates for the municipal elections, as well as the state reps within the town district, and to kind of generate and coalesce the people of your party.
Agreed.
And how are town committee members chosen? How can Hartford residents become town committee members?
Well, Mark, let me start because
Sure.
I think you have the real answer. The Hartford Republican Town Committee, we have plenty of vacancies, so we are always looking for people that want to get involved, and a lot of that is demographics of the city and the mix with the Hartford Republicans. So we try to bring people in. We have them come to meetings and meet people and get comfortable and show some commitment, and then it's a pretty lightweight election process. Mark, I think you can get into the more formal aspects because you guys have a robust town committee.
Yes. So how they selected each district, there's a calculation that's done every 2 years, and we have a sliding scale in our bylaws, and it's capped at no more than 16 town committee members per district. But there's a sliding scale that tells you, depending on how many Democrats you have in that district, how many that district has by the number of Democrats, registered Democrats in that district. So each district puts their own slate together or group. Hartford, most of the big cities are like this, where we do direct primaries if there's a fight. Most towns do caucuses, which means there's an evening where you just get together. Any Democrat in that town, let's just say, can come out and vote for a slate of individuals that represent the entire town. We do direct primaries, which means if there is more than one slate, and each one of those slates gets a certain number of signatures that's set out by our registrar of voters in a calculation, then there will be a direct primary the first Tuesday in the month of March. in the even number years. So folks would actually have to go to the polls and vote for individuals. So that's how it works. But really, each district just gets together and kind of puts their group together of folks that they want on that town committee.
That's great. What is most important for Hartford residents to understand about town committees?
The most important thing is that really, again, our basic responsibility. We have several that we began the conversation today with, but I think from a baseline point of view is that town committees, their basic responsibility is to endorse and help elect candidates of their own party, right? We do not set policy. Okay, I mean, we help elect those that do. So, for example, the town committee has nothing to do with taxes being raised or any kind of policy decisions at the city or the state level. So, what we do, really, most importantly, I think for people to understand, is we put candidates in a position to make those policy decisions. And then every either 2 years or 4 years, the town committee basically sits back and basically looks at the body of work by their elected officials and makes a decision on whether they think they deserve to be back in office and whether they deserve to be renominated and endorsed or not. Potentially there are primaries, but that's, if I had to say our baseline, the one thing for folks to understand, that would be it. Ken, I'm sure you can, happy to expand on that but
yeah, I think that was a concise, good explanation. I mean, it is just bringing together the people of the party within the city and trying to bring candidates forward to run for the elected positions. That's the key aspect of it. And being involved is helpful because you then have a say in those elected officials. In terms of the endorsement, there's always the ability for people who do not get the endorsement to try to primary and get and then run as the candidate for. But basically, that's it. That's the key aspect, and you have to look at politics as it has to start somewhere, and it really does start at the town committee level.
And what is coming up in the next 6 to 12 months?
I think there's elections, aren't there, Mark?
There are a few.
I'm pretty sure I'm aware of that.
Few that are scheduled. I would say from what's closest to maybe farthest out in that period, it would be looks like, at least on the Democratic side, we have a few down ballot state races. Looks like we're going to have one for treasurer and comptroller on the Democratic side. That will then roll into our November elections, where we have all our constitutionals, we have U.S. Senate race on there, we have all of our state representatives and state senators, and our members of Congress are on there as well. So it'll be a busy November, as well as, remember, the state primaries are August. And then general will be November. And then as we roll into 23, more of a local side, we have our municipal elections for mayor, for council, for constable, for city treasurer. So that will then start to be the focus in 2023.
Yeah, there's some constitutional. Actually, I'm not sure about the constitutional positions on the Republican side for primaries, but definitely for Senate. And, we're going to then hopefully have a good showing in November and see how things go. And thereafter, Mark's right. Then we move to the municipal side, mayor and the council, which is very important at the town committee level. That's where we have the greatest amount of impact. And as I think everyone knows with the voting record, the Democrats have had that impact.
So where can people get more information about your town committees?
For us, we have I would call it a fairly robust Facebook page where we have we put up the map of the city and districts and town committee members in each district, and on a fairly regular basis, we have folks that reach out to us through our Facebook page, and those messages are usually funneled to me by the few folks that town committee members that manage the site, and then I reach out personally to folks and put them together with, depending on where they live, with their district spokespeople, so they can get on a list of meetings in that area, and generally our town committee meetings as a whole when we have them. So I would say, at least for us, that would be my suggestion.
And for the Republicans in Hartford, they can contact me directly. My home number is 860-231-9100, or they can email me at Ken.Lerman, Lerman, 2012 at att.net. We do have a Facebook page, but it's not very robust. And then alternatively, they can reach out to the Republican registrar, who can then easily put them in touch with me as well. And we'll get you to a meeting and see, and meet other members of the town committee. And I think that's always nice to do and good to meet people.
And is there anything else you'd like to add before we close?
Vote. Everyone should vote.
Yes, I agree. It would be fantastic to see our voter turnout be a little bit more robust, especially in Hartford or urban areas in general. So I agree with that. And I'd also add that I think in today's day and age, where we have to have the television on at night, or however you get your news, where we see the Democratic and Republican parties, especially at a federal, national level, at each other's throats. And I think politics has become a much different sport, let's just say, over the last decade or maybe more. But I think at a local level, one of the things I'd like folks to know, I mean, as an example, Ken and I are very friendly. We're good. We're friends, and I'd like to think that friendship and civility, I think it helps, right? And when you have
Greatly.
a personal relationship with that for folks, and the reality is, we agree on certain things and disagree on others, but we've never let that get in the way of our friendship or how we run, I think, our parties here in Hartford. And I'm very proud of that relationship, not just with Ken, but many other Republicans that I've known for years and have a great relationship with. So I think politics generally would be a better place if there were more folks like Ken and I that had the personal relationship that we have. So I think that's important to let folks know that it's not all like cats and dogs like we tend to see on the news.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that's tremendously important. I ran for state rep a few times, and I was interviewed with my opponent by the current, and before the interview started, it was Matt Ritter. He and I were chatting, and one of the reporters kind of turned and looked at us and said, "You guys know each other? Are you guys friends?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're actually friends." And they were so surprised. And it's, really, that's a shame, because people are people, and having different viewpoints should be understood and worked on together. And it's very important to have the friendships. And I agree with Mark that I also am very happy and proud of having friendships with many Democrats, and Mark is definitely one of them. And I appreciate this opportunity to chat with him. And frankly, I think Mark and I wanted to do this interview together rather than independently. And that speaks volumes of how we Democrats and Republicans work together in Hartford.
Thank you very much, Mark and Ken. We greatly appreciate you joining us today. And thank you to our viewers. We hope you found this video useful. The Hartford Votes Coalition has been pleased to bring it to you. If you have questions or would like to learn more about the coalition, please visit our website at hartfordvotes.org.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Thea. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.